raw, wild beauty of the Trossachs. This has to be one of my favourite places. It's rugged, it's spectacular. For millions of people around the world, this landscape has come to represent the essence of Scotland. And for that, we have one man in particular to thank, Sir Walter Scott.
Born in Edinburgh in 1771, Scott entered the legal profession, but it was his passion for writing at the heart of the Romantic movement that made him a literary sensation.
In 1809, Scott visited Loch Katrine and its islands with his wife and daughter, and it was this landscape that he used as the setting for one of his most famous works, The Lady of the Lake. Published the following year, the poem took the literary world by storm.
Where gleaming with the setting sun, one burnished sheet of living gold, Loch Katrine lay beneath him rolled. In all her length far winding lay, with promontory, creek and bay, and islands that, empurpled bright, floated amid the livelier light, and mountains that like giants stand, to sentinel enchanted land. High in the south, huge Ben Venue, down on the lake in masses through, crags, knolls and mounds, confusedly huddled, the fragments of an earlier world. A wildering forest feathered o'er, his ruined sides and summit hoar, while on the north, through middle air, Ben Ann heaved high, his forehead bare.
But Scott wasn't the first writer to be inspired by this landscape. In 1799, Lady Sarah Murray wrote a companion and useful guide to the beauties of Scotland. In it, she described this very place.
All was echo, the whistle of a bird, the sound of the foot of an animal, the rustling of the wind amongst the trees, the gush of a torrent or the fall of a pebble resounded through the solemn pass as through a ruined cloister. I listened. It was a sonorous, deep noise, dying away.
Late in the summer of 1803, three great English writers, William Wordsworth, his sister Dorothy, and Samuel Coleridge, toured the area.
And here, at the falls at Inversnaid, on the banks of Loch Lomond, a 14-year-old girl inspired Wordsworth to write To a Highland Girl at Inversnaid.
Sweet Highland girl, from thee to part, for I methinks till I grow old, as fair before me shall behold, as I do now the cabin small, the lake, the bay, the waterfall, and thee, the spirit of them all.
Wordsworth sold 3,000 copies of his collected poems in his lifetime.
But it was Sir Walter Scott's Lady of the Lake which threw the Trossachs into the world's spotlight. It was a runaway success, selling more than 25,000 copies in its first 8 months.
Thousands of people flocked to the area to see the setting for this epic poem. Tourist hotels sprang up. Tour coach stables were built at Callander. The newfound appeal stretched far and wide. A young Franz Schubert used Scott's lyrics to write one of the best-known pieces of music ever, Ave Maria. And across the pond in America, the tune Hail to the Chief, with lyrics from Lady of the Lake, became a huge hit. In 1812, it was used for presidential engagements and still accompanies the arrival of the president. Sir Walter Scott organised a Highland Festival to celebrate the visit of George IV to Edinburgh in 1822. It created a wave of popularity for all things Scottish, including a passion for tartans and kilts. These modern-day symbols of Scottish identity became fashionable as a result. Nearly 50 years later, Queen Victoria wrote of her love of the area.
The scene of our drive today is all described in Rob Roy. Loch Arklet lies like Loch Callata, only that the hills are higher and more pointed. Leaving this little loch to our left, in a few minutes we came upon Loch Katrine, which was seen in its greatest beauty in the fine evening light. Most lovely.
This fabulous steamer, recently restored, is the Sir Walter Scott. His name lives on And rightly so, for he revolutionised the way we view and value landscape. The very existence of the Loch Lomond and Trossachs National Park is partly due to the lasting power of Scott's landscape vision. His image of Scotland, with its craggy mountains rising from island-studded lochs, endures to this very day.